Hello there, it is a bleary-eyed Bruce from Brankus Creations here. Hello to everyone who has decided to join me on what I guess is for a lot of people Saturday night. I know it's a very late start for me, but it's Saturday night. So I started a little bit earlier than I scheduled, and I did that because I was just going to start, but then I thought, well, I'll schedule it for a time ahead. I'll go have a bite to eat, which I just had. Beautiful goslomet, yummy. And then I'll come down here and start when I finished eating. And so here I am. So to everyone who has decided to join me on this Saturday evening, hello. We'll just do the quick little run through the peeps. Jay from the House of Moth. Again, the main motivator for me to do a live stream at any given moment because he's always nagging me to. Jeff Barnard, hello. Dave is here, hello. Zodium's Retro House. Horse. Hello. Jack68K. Shout out to Jack68K. Thank you very much. He got in touch with me about this. He had a few surplus SCSI cables for the PowerBook 540, 520, and he has generously offered to send a couple to me. So thank you very, very much for that. It is greatly appreciated. I'm really looking forward to getting them and getting that 540C all sort of working as a working unit again. Thomas Armstrong, hello. Joe is here, hello Joe. SadMac356. Shady Robot. Steve is here, hello, and Keshet33. So obviously just a shout out to Steve very quickly. If anyone's following his socials, they may already be aware, but he lost one of his little bunnies overnight. I think Olivia is the name of the bunny, I think, from memory. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously terrible, devastating, and it came without any real warning. You know, he sort of texted last night to say that the bunny was in a really bad way, and I'll be honest, what he described to me, I wasn't surprised when I heard that the bunny didn't make it. Very sad. Heart goes out, Steve. I hope you're all sort of you're sort of all being together and, you know, spending time with the bunny you still have. Is it bunny or bunnies you still have? And obviously a bit of a rough time with losing the cat recently as well. So anyhow, heart goes out to you, Steve. Sorry about that. So Charlie is here. Hello there. And okay. So anyhow, I'm actually going out shopping this afternoon to go and buy some new clothes. I'm going to an event next weekend where I need to look fancy, so I want to go get some new fancy clothes that fit my ever-expanding body. But I'm not doing that until my wife comes home, because there's no way I'm going shopping for clothes without my wife there. I'll get in big trouble if I do. So she's off at an event, so I'm waiting for her to return. I thought, well, I may as well do a live stream while I'm waiting. I also wanted to say very quickly, Tinker Different, just for anyone here who's here, I'm sure everyone who is watching today is aware of Tinker Different and knows what it is and all that sort of stuff. But if not, please jump on tinkerdifferent.com, have a look. We've just cracked over 700 members on it now. We are getting, you know, something like 20, 30 posts a day happening. Some of the most incredible stuff on there. We're actually planning to do a video. We're going to do probably a live stream video with the Tinker Different committee, and we are going to be going through some of the absolutely amazing stuff that is going on there. And thank you to everyone who has joined, jumped on, and posted some of the most awesome stuff. People have literally been arriving at the forum, signing up, saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, you know, I'm happy this is here. Oh, by the way, I've just gone and reverse engineered something or other, and here's a schematic and a bill of materials. And you look and you think, whoa, dude, that's awesome. So anyhow, yeah, and look, basically, all of the people in these chats who are the ones that manage to spit out all the really amazing smart stuff, these are all the sorts of people that are on Tinker Different on a regular basis. So these days when people contact me either by email or through my YouTube videos and say, hey man, I've got a so-and-so computer and it's doing this and it's not doing that or something, I generally just send them to Tinker Different. I say, look, you know, jump on there. You'll probably get an answer way quicker than you'll get from me. So, okay, so first thing we need to do, I'll get rid of this. This is the 2SI board that I was tinkering with yesterday, pulling off a chip. I think I left my ultrasonic cleaner on all night. Oh well, saves me from having to heat it up today. One of the things we do have to do is have a look at the 2FX board that I worked on for Kai, which I will have to find here somewhere. I think I wrote on it. For a very specific reason that I will explain once I have it in front of me. That is a 2FX. That is a 2FX. So is this it? Hey, it is. I did wrote on it. So this is the 2FX board that was sent to me by Kai. And it had a few problems, one of which was that it would sort of work intermittently. Well, it's not working intermittently anymore. It is now working consistently. So very, very happy with it. And so that's all good. I fired it up during my live stream, and of course since then I've actually had it in a case with a power supply, you know, booting up, using it, all fantastic, ran Snooper on it and all that sort of stuff. Now, it does still have one problem. We're going to see if we can get that sorted out so I can get this board back to Kai. He's threatening to send me a lot more boards too, by the way, so that could be interesting. So essentially all I did with this was just, Kai had already done a few repairs on this and I tidied a few of them up. He had a wire that was going from the front to the back of the board, and I redid that repair in a way where we didn't need to have anything going from the front to the back of the board. It's all just everything self-contained on either side, which I always aim for. There is one thing that I try and avoid like the plague, and that is running a wire from one side of the board to the other. Sometimes it's unavoidable, particularly if it's on a more modern machine, because on the modern machines, the vias aren't a hollow hole through the board. They're a tiny, weeny little sliver of copper wire. And so sometimes, you know, if you lose one of those, you've got no choice but to run a wire. It started to rain. Just letting you know it started to rain. It's Sydney after all. Nothing on the washing line. I'll just check there's nothing on the line, because it is actually really starting to proper rain now. Yeah, cool. So this is really good that we're in Sydney. That has just been raining consistently now for months and months and months. The great thing, as I mentioned yesterday, I am about to do a bathroom renovation, and we have now got a temporary shower outside, and we will be having to take showers in that. And of course it's raining all the time. So that's great. Another really quick thing I need to mention. I mentioned this in my live stream yesterday. Sample 88, revision 2. This is going to be the new formula. So I contacted Amtech and I told them that the sample 88 they sent me, the only thing I did not like about it was the fact that the scent was a little bit overpowering. So they knocked that scent down to about 75% of what it was. They released this. I gave them my feedback. I told them I thought it was great. Had some other feedback from Steve, from Justin, from Jay, who all agreed that the original sample 88 scent was a little bit overpowering. So I think this reduction in the scent will be welcomed by all. So this is going to be the new one. You will find a link in the description, up near the top of the description, of where you can buy this on Amazon. So, yummy. So that's the sample 88, also known as V2. They've actually referred to it on the ad as sample 88 and V2, because a lot has been said about the whole sample 88 side of things. Dana Siberia is here. Hello there. Nanoraptor. Gaz Missive. Hello. Would have thought, who would have thought that Melbourne will be drier than Sydney? Yeah, I know. It's in actual fact, the truth is that on average, I think Sydney gets more rainfall than Melbourne anyway. It's just one of the myths that everyone talks about, that Melbourne's the wet place. But in particular, because of the old La Nina, it's hitting the entire, I mean, Queensland. It's supposed to be beautiful one day, perfect the next. It's beautiful one day, flooding and raining the next. Okay, just check and see here. Should have been called sample 89, I agree. Did I say V2? Sorry, yeah, V3 I mean. V3, sorry, V3. YouTube, yeah. I just, look at this, 2 streams in a row. I didn't stream last weekend, so I'm making up for it. Can you give some of that rain to California, asking for a friend? Yeah, I hear about what's going on in California, and what you guys are going through is what we were going through a few years ago. And it ain't good. And I apologise for the fact that you've got so many eucalyptus trees there now, because eucalyptus trees have got eucalyptus oil in them and they burn really well. But they come from this country where that sort of thing is more normal, not there. So, we move along. I digress. We had our election, our federal election here in Australia yesterday. And that's one of the reasons why I'm a little bit bleary-eyed this morning, because I did stay up late for the to see all the outcome. So, yep, but that's all that's done. We can move on now. And let's see if we can figure out what's going on with this board. So, I have run Snooper on this 2FX board of Kai's, and it all works with one exception. The printer port. The printer port is failing the Snooper test. Now, here's an interesting thing. We've got, I think it's here, it's like a serial controller chip. I'm probably pointing at the wrong thing, but imagine for a second that I'm pointing at the right thing. We've got a serial controller chip. Now, if that was failed, I would have thought we would have both serial ports out, but we've only got the printer port out, which makes me think it's more likely to be one of these chips which, so where you've got your two ports here, that's them there, we have these little components which follow one or the other. We've got this guy here, and this guy here, and then we've got another set of them there. Oh, my phone's ringing. Oh, it's my wife. I'd better answer it. I will be in all sorts of trouble. So just bear with me. Uno memento. About to go loud. Sorry about that, folks. I sent a text to my wife earlier who did not get that text because her phone battery went flat, and she had just plugged the phone into the car and away it went, and then she phoned me, and so she'll probably get that text message from me a little later on. Anyhow, okay, all right, so what I was mentioning here before my phone rang is that we have here, I probably should go top view for this, shouldn't I? Stupid big board. Stupid big board. Stupid. Right, so here we go. We've got, that's the modem port and there's a printer port. And you'll see that what we have here is we've got these two little guys here, and these two guys here, and these two guys here. Now, I believe that these are going to these two ports. So I think it's more likely, given the fact that we have the modem working but the printer not working, it's more likely going to be one of these components rather than the main serial controller. But I'll tell you what, I'm open for suggestions. If anyone just looks at that and says, no, you're talking nonsense, Bruce. You're talking nonsense, Rain. It's going to be this, that, and the other. Just by all means. So I'm going to open up this schematic so that I can see what I can see. Like this keyboard. I love this keyboard. I got this with the computer that I bought. It's nice. It's backlit and everything. It's backlit, and you can even set it up to be a Bluetooth for more than one computer. You press the button here, 1, 2, 3, so it can be connected to actually 3 computers at once. How cool is that? Any mini fuse is not likely on this one, no. Harry Jackson, hello. Got my first vintage Mac SE30 arriving in Western Sydney this week. Excellent. Thanks for your valuable resource. It's got seamless CMAC. If I can't repair it, keep an eye on your inquiry forms. No worries. I will indeed. So, Harry, which part of Western Sydney are you in? You don't have to tell me exactly where, but just a rough idea. I'm just curious to know. And I'd also be very interested to know, where did you get the SE30 from? Was it an eBay buy, or was it through a friend or a forum or something like that? I'll be really interested to know, because the thing is that SE30s are coming up less and less, and of course they're getting more and more expensive. So I'm just always interested to know when one changes hands. Mac technical files. I'm opening that folder, and then I go Macintosh 68K schematics, and then I go 2FX schematic. Oh yeah, that's right. I got the 2FX and I joined the halves together. And I actually labelled a few things. Geez, I'm efficient. Look at me with all my efficiency. Okay, so this is serial printer and modem port. Yep, okay, so we have the main controller chip is UC16. I was pointing at the wrong thing. So it's this guy here. I'm staring at a schematic, so I can't even see what I'm showing you at the moment. So yeah, okay, it's this guy here. So at least you can see that. And then we have then UC17, UD16. Now, UD16, again, I believe will be something that is likely to break all of them, both the ports. So UC17, I believe, will be the same as well. So UC17, there it is. That's him there. Okay, so then what we have is UB 11, 12, 13 and 14. 12, 13, 14. Yeah, 11, 12, 13, 14. So these guys here. So I believe it's going to be a problem with one of these. Now, if I can just see which one goes to which port, man, it is pissing down. Absolutely freaking pissing down. Well, if I start talking louder, it's because the sound of the rain, but I know that because the microphone's just here, generally you guys can hear me without issue, but I just I do that. So, printer port. Okay, the printer port is 13 and 14. So let's see what we can see there. 13 and 14. 13 and 14. So these two here, these are for the printer port. So let us see what we will see. Legolas, what do your elven eyes see? They're not my elven eyes, it's a microscope. Okay, scope view. I'm in the Penrith Blue Mountains area. Oh, sweet, cool. I'm around Blacktown, so not a huge way away from that. I got it from Yahoo Auctions. All said and done was around 300. Okay, that's pretty good actually. Shipping was more than twice the cost of the Mac. Yeah. Yeah, actually, look, in Australia, $300 for an SE30 I consider to be a complete bargain. I mean, I know it wasn't working, but I sold a working one, a fully working one, for around $700. So on eBay. So that just does give you an idea. That's excellent. Well, the chickens can't actually get to me. Blue Mountains represent. Yeah, Horst is also from that neck of the woods. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out how I can position this board so I might actually be able to see what I'm doing. There we go. So, here are the two guys. So first of all, we're going to be looking to see if we've got any, just going to move this out a bit, any trace damage, because as you can see, we do have some ugliness around here. And you know what I should do? I should just paint UV mask over top of the corrosion, because that always triggers Jay. Jay loves it when I do that. Oops, I got flux on my scalpel. Can't be having that. Canada represent. I promised I'd stay awake, but with this rain I am, so I might not make it. Yeah, sorry about that. Any organised way to learn electronics, like a website or anything? I've kind of learned a lot of that through. There are a couple of different things. There are a few things I can recommend. So first of all, one place to probably start looking. It's a bit boring, but Jay might be able to send a link here. But if in terms of actually learning electronics, so not necessarily learning to solder, but learning what components do, reading a schematic, that sort of stuff. There's a PDF on what's his name, Lewis Rossman's website, where he sort of does a bit of a beginner's guide to repair, and he does go in and explain quite a lot of components. Then there was a set of videos that I did as well. It is just pissing down. I'm just going to look at the rain radar and see what we're in for here, whether it's fleeting or rain radar. Oh wow, it's actually forming over top of us, so I've got no idea how long it's going to last for. It wasn't there a second ago and now it's there, and it is heavy. Why are we being picked on? No one else is getting this. Not fair. Okay, so yeah, that's excellent. Thank you for posting that, Jay. So that's a really good place to start. Now, some of it is a little bit, I don't know, it's maybe not written the best. I would recommend, there was a series of videos that I looked at as well, and it was a guy, and I think he even says, "Hey, what's up, guys?" at the beginning of each video, which I love. He was, and he goes through a series of videos explaining stuff. Now, there are a couple of times where I felt he went a bit fast and stuff got a bit confusing. If I can find it, I'll see if I can stick it in the comments or something later on in the video description, or the comments. Yes, unfortunately with electronics there is a lot of formula stuff involved. Now, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that the problems we're experiencing with this printer port are probably related to these ugly traces that we've got going on around here. We probably do have a broken trace somewhere. We could probably go through the schematic and get our little beepity beep machine and check it out, but I'll just see if I can see anything first. See, look at some of this ugliness. Really was not expecting this rain today. I mean, if I'd have known it was going to rain this heavy, I probably wouldn't have even come down here. Because if it doesn't stop, I'm going to get bloody wet going back. Oh. Oh no, very good. Whenever you see these corroded traces, you usually get a pretty good feel for which ones are just visual versus the ones that are actually a busted trace. And if to be honest with you, they all look, well, that one could be busted. I'll check. And you can see some of these ones are really quite black, but when I scrape them down a little bit, you see nice fresh copper underneath. Left-handed scrape. Left-handed scrape. Not very good. Let's do a few little beeps here. Sorry, just reading, keeping up with the chat here. Now, when we need to go in and test for continuity, what do? We whip out our multimeter. And which multimeter will we be whipping out? Does anyone know what multimeter I'll be whipping out? Yeah. Kai Wheats KM601. You'll find a link if you want to buy one. Fantastic. Let's just go. There it is. Kai Wheats KM601. Look at that beautiful screen. It's a smart multimeter as well, not like any of those stupid multimeters. It's a smart Okay, and oh boy, functions. Did someone say functions? Goodness me, look at all those functions. Oh, look. Oops. I have to do this. Yay! Thank you very much, Horst. Are you keeping up the live chat? Because live chat is keeping up with you. I am. I do struggle. There we go. Okay, anyhow. We're in beepity beep mode. You're probably not going to be able to hear it because of the sound of the rain. Okay, so this is still the original set of batteries, by the way. I just thought everyone should know that because someone sort of said lightly, "Oh wow, look, your battery's down already," you know, like that. Look at your battery's down already, and you haven't had it that long. It's still the same set of batteries, so I know that Jay doesn't believe me, but it is true. Yeah. Okay, they're all good. They're all good. We're good. We're good. Just looking at some of these ugly ones. You might have to whip this chip off too, because sometimes get issues with the joins underneath these. Seen that happen. And of course the other problem is one of these chips could be ratted. Just looking for ugliness. And we do have a lot of ugliness here that I am going to have to clean up, unfortunately. Not thrilled about it, but I'm going to have to. Oh, the rain's just lightened up a little. I can hear myself again now, that's great. Couldn't hear myself before. I must get one of those little whizzy things like Jay from House of Moth. He has a little, it's like a little pen type thing with a little sort of like a little sandpapery attachment, like a little grinding attachment. Yeah, it just occurred to me, if I go in and I do something here, I don't think I brought anything down here to test this. I don't have a screen here. I don't think I have a disc, like a startup disc. I might have floating around. So I will have to go up to the house if I do actually do anything that I think might have actually repaired something. But I'm certainly not there yet. Kai will be very upset that he missed this. Excuse me. Greetings from Brisbane, hello. Wet here too, sick of this rain. Yeah, how's it going? I mean, you got any more floods going on up there at the moment? I know up in, certainly in some parts of Queensland, I don't think Brizzy was actually affected. Well, might have been, but there are lots of floods. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Bruce's repair shed. Yeah. Do. This little resistor net is a 47 ohm by the looks of things. And I'm just checking it here. It all appears to be fine. Whoopsie. So I don't... Oh, I was testing the wrong one. But that's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about that. Or was I? I don't know. I was testing one of them. I want to have a look at this one on the sideways. I don't see... I mean, look, I really did think I was going to find a really horrendous trace that was going to be like the smoking gun for this one. But I haven't found anything like that. Yes, there's ugliness, but it's all ugliness that still has pretty decent continuity. So, what's the best Mac 2 to get? What's the best Mac 2 to get? Well, best is a very, very interesting thing, because are we talking about collectability? Are we talking about size? In terms of, or even in speed, something like that. I really like the, if maybe you're looking to get one cheap. So for instance, if you were looking to get a Mac 2 that is inexpensive, my suggestion would be, oh cool, I love that movie. My suggestion would be go with the 2VX. 2VX is not a particularly popular or collectible Mac 2. And so that's one I would say is like inexpensive. If we're talking about collectability, 2FX has got to be up there. There aren't that many of them, and they're very in demand. So 2FX is good for that regard. I love the 2CI. I think that's a great Mac 2. So yeah. So I guess what we need to know is, oh, you want performance. Okay. So this one was it 40? Yeah, this is a 40 megahertz 030 chip, and I don't think any of the other Mac 2s were that high in performance. Yeah, so I'd say yes, the 2FX is probably the fastest one that was ever made. Some probably had some accelerators that went faster than that, but yeah. Right. Okay, I was going to have a sideways look. So I've got to get the microscope right out here like this, looking into the abyss, and then get this board at an angle and look at the side. That looks okay. Oh, Jesus, a bit rusty, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I'm going. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I don't really see an issue there. There's another problem which I have encountered once or twice, and I'm just going to test for that now. It involves me zooming in. Zoom. I have had an instance with one of these ones where I ended up with a crack up here on these pins. That's okay. Okay. A colour classic with spicy clock would, in theory, be faster though, right? I have no idea. Colour classic spicy o'clock. How fast do they go? I can't remember what the speed is on the spicy o'clock. I haven't done it, so. James Wages is the champion of the spicy o'clock, isn't he? I have to say that as it is, off the shelf, without any tampering, the Colour Classic is one of the most underpowered computers, and it was even at the time it was released. Novelty though, nice novelty value. Still looking. Don't make me get the multimeter out now, you hear? I was explaining yesterday in my live stream, one of the reasons why I generally don't do these sorts of repairs on live stream is because when you get to a certain point where you're scraping and tinkering and you're looking to see if there is an obvious issue, at a certain point you then end up having to stop that and you have to start going in and doing diagnostics involved with sort of checking to see that traces are all going from where they should go to where they should go, and that process then becomes a little bit tedious, a little bit dull to live stream, because it's me looking at a sort of a what do you call this thing, schematic, and just going, okay, well that's pin 62 and that's going down there to pin 23, let's check that, beep, okay, that's fine, let's move to the next one. And that sort of stuff does get a little bit boring and tedious. So that is one of the reasons why I don't often do these. Now these sorts of diagnostics, I'm just going to check and see if there are any components missing from here, because sometimes components find their way off the board. And we'll see if we've got any damaged traces on this side as well. Typically you don't get damaged traces as much on the underside of the board as you do on the top side of the board, but it's still not a bad idea to check. Which was the printer port? That one there. Cool. What are you doing? Okay, so that's the printer port there. And we're just going to look at these traces going across the board. That's what they're doing. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. No. I watched Dan from the Canadian Computer Collectors video a little while ago. One where he went and got a couple of iMacs and a couple of Mac Pros for $1,000 all up, and he got himself a few good computers there, I have to say. The iMac, in particular the 2013 iMac, I love that one, and of course he got a 5.1 Mac Pro, which is the same computer I use. It's got a slightly slower CPU configuration, but still a pretty good computer. What? Oh, you have doubts as to whether I'm using my lapel mic. 111. Test. way. Well, it seems to be. I mean, it's certain. I'm getting the right. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Well, it does seem to be working then. So, what are you saying, sir? My good sir. What say you? Spreading these lies. Do you have test dongles for testing the serial port? Yes, I do. I do. Worth mentioning, if you go on to tinkerdifferent.com, you will find the pinout diagram for making those, which is what I did. I basically then went and bought myself those little mini DIN8 plugs and just wired them. And essentially you're just joining a few pins together. You join the handshake pin together and use the data together. And that's how I know that this port doesn't work. So basically what I did is I got my two little testers and I plug them in and I ran the test, printer failed. So I then swapped the testers around just in case there was something wrong with my testers, but the problem followed the port and not the tester. So it just leads me to believe that the printer port is not working. It handshaked, so the handshake pins worked, but not the data. Why aren't I even, I mean, I know it handshaked okay. So why don't I just go and test the data part? I mean, silly belly. I don't even know where that is on here. So I've got a few resistors. Let's have a look. It's the modem. Here's the printer. Okay, okay. So handshake out. Where's handshake in? Handshake in. So that's 2 and 1. So transmit data and receive data. 3658. So UB13, UB14. Oh wow, so they, yeah, okay, cool, UB13, UB14. Yep, okay, all right, okay, all right. You know what? I'm just going to replace them. You know, that's just how you do it. That's how I do it anyway. Rather than worrying about, we'll fiddle around with schematics later on. This is all about soldering today. We're going to just remove these components and replace them. Going to replace 13 and 14. Bang, 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 bang. These chips here are the same on stacks of boards. I bet you they're the same. I bet you that's them there. So let's see if I can raid them from this SI2SI board, because this one needs raiding. So this is AM26LS. I need my glasses. AM26LS 30GC. This board really smells, I don't know why. And it's SN, what this one is? This is an SN75175. 75175, yep. I can take the components straight off the 2SI. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to whip these guys off. We're going to put new components on there from the 2SI. New, yes. Does anyone else, are we? American Girl doll Macintoshes. No, I can't say I have. I believe that they're out there, but they have not come up in my searches. Having said that, I haven't actually searched. I haven't gone to buy anything vintage in quite some time. I would like to. I really want to get a Quadra 650, and I might get in trouble with my wife if I do, but seeing as we have just gone and moved a large chunk of my collection into storage so that we have more room in the house. Snooper serial loop. That's it. Found the snooper dongle post. No problem at all. This is what the old Tinker Different thing was for. It was so funny because I was actually just there. I was wondering if anyone else had actually done it, and then I looked and I thought, no. Do it yourself. I did ask. No one had done it, and I thought, you know what? I want to do it. And I was even thinking of reverse engineering the new bus thingy that you can get for Snooper. I'm at a really bad angle for the removal of this component. Unfortunately, when it comes to the 2FX, the board dictates where I go. Off she comes. And then we'll do this one. I wonder if this board has a UB40 chip. And then we can go, red, red wine. Stay close to me. See, Steve, my multimeter just beeped at me. I don't get mad at it. You have to control your rage. Control the multimeter rage. Oops, the soldering eye's not on. Doesn't work very well. Made 2 of those cereal pot thingies based on Bruce's Tinker Different Taste. Works like a charm. Thank you very much. Someone's making a bit of noise. Someone having a party? Oh, anyone notice where that smoke is going? Straight up in my face. I don't think it does have a UB40 chip. How disappointing. Over here, you can go over there. Oh, there is motion at your front door. That will be my wife arriving home. Where is my wick? Is it on the floor? Well, there is some wick on the floor. It will do. Okay. Excuse me. Hello from Chile. Hello. Hello to you. All right, okay, so we've got some solder wick here. Just need to snip off the excess because it's already got some solder on it. I clearly dropped this to the floor before I trimmed it. I always leave my trimmings on the floor because that's just how I do things. I apologise if that triggers anyone with like OCD or is a bit of a clean freak. I'm going to make sure this is all clean and tidy, then we'll go and have a look at these, make sure we don't have any visible breaks anywhere. Yeah, we'll do this here. I've got that song in my head now. Anyone else like UB40? I like UB40. I'm actually using this wick to scrape off a little bit of solder mask here. What I'm specifically looking to do is expose and coat with solder the part where the pad joins the trace, because that is the weak point. Be very careful when you're doing this stuff, particularly when you're dealing with the pads that don't have a trace coming off them. They come off really easily. I mean, they're not needed, I realise that, but it's still better to have the pads on there than not have them there. When you start applying heat to these pads, it softens the adhesive that's holding the copper onto the board, and so you then it's then very easy to lift them off by accident. I need to buy a microscope. Yeah, I mean, look, I guess you have to, when it comes to a microscope, you do need to justify the cost, because one like this is expensive, but I cannot stress enough how awesome it is to have something like this. And not even for this sort of work. I mean, I've used it to pull splinters out and stuff like that. It is just the most awesome thing to have. But it's bloody expensive. And in particular this one, because they come with a really heavy base. The shipping on this was just, to get it out here into Australia, it was so expensive. Did I catch Eurovision? Did I catch Eurovision, or are you asking someone else? I didn't see much of it. I saw the highlights, really, if you can call them that. I used to watch it religiously. I mean, I back in the days, in particular, when it was really, really silly. When all the performances were like really, really silly. And I'd have my mates come around and we'd get a bit drunk and we'd watch it, and that was a lot of fun. But it's become now, I find now that everyone just takes it all way too seriously. And like if someone wins, and they do a particular style of song, the next year everyone does the same sort of thing. And it gets a little bit tedious. Do you know that we're in it? Australia competes in it. Don't ask me why. We're not in Europe, but we compete in it. And in actual fact, if we win it, we don't get to host it, because normally the winner gets to host it the following year. But we get to choose which country gets to host it the following year. So we ended up with a lot of countries sucking up to us, in particular with one year where I think we came second. But yeah, Australia and European something so stupid. I don't know. I don't understand. Right, let's get some replacement chips here, shall we? I'll just go to top view for this one, because I'm not going to bother doing the microscope for this. Just kind of whip one of these off. Do you reckon I should do the resistor net as well? No, I did test that, didn't I? I tested the wrong one, but I still tested it. There's one. And there is two. Stupid. I have to admit, Dana does stuff. You know, Mr. Stuff. Dana has always loved the way I say stupid, and it's sort of one of the things that makes me say it even more. So these are the old ones. Begone, chips, begone. And now I want to see if I can hold this in a nice and firm sort of way to then perhaps try and clean it up a bit. But some of these chips aren't that easy to hold. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. No. So let's see if I can just at least balance it in there. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Oh. These boards. So big, so cumbersome. Scope view. Is that an empty set of cap pads right on the screen there? You were, because this is the 2FX, the 2FX actually has pads for both electrolytic and tantalum caps. So for every single one of those capacitors, you've actually got two sets of pads. And so you were probably looking at one of the vacant electrolytic sets of pads, but it has a tantalum on the tantalum set of pads. So that's probably what you were looking at there. That's held reasonably. So what we want to do with this, we just want to clean up all the old Solder from the bottom, just make it easier to then go onto the board. So I'll just get a little bit of flux on there. What flux are we using today from the Flux Lucky Dip? This is ASM. Let it be known, this is my favourite flux, ASM. I like this flux more than any other flux. And if anyone hears that and says, well, why do you keep talking about sample 88 and V3 and all that sort of stuff? The reason for that is that the V3 or sample 88 has less toxicity than the ASM. So if we're looking at it from a health standpoint and a regular exposure, the sample 88 is going to be much better for you. They're saying you can even potentially use it a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, without a fume extractor. That's what they're saying. And they're not encouraging that you do all your soldering without a fume extractor. Fume extractor is an important thing. But what they are saying is, let's just say you're like, oh, I need to do a quick little repair. I don't have time to set up my fume extractor. I'm just going to do it really quickly and not worry about it. Does it have the good smell? It does have the good smell. Why does the board have 2 batteries? Mac 2, 2X and 2FX all had 2 batteries. Why? That's a good question. I think the theory behind it is one was for the startup circuit and one was for the PRAM or the battery backup, you know, sort of for backing up the clock and stuff like that. I think that's generally what is the accepted reason is, but having said that, you need both batteries in there, so it's not like it'll, you know, if you just take one out, it'll start and you, but it won't keep time. They're all wired in together, so. You need to make sure that there aren't any lumps of solder on the bottom of these pins, because then when you go to stick it down, you know, you might have the thing sitting crooked. So that's why I go through this process of removing any excess solder. An interesting thing I should mention about interesting, guess they don't use a 5-volt trickle. Well, they do actually. Yeah, it's all. I don't look. There's a schematic out there for the startup circuit. You might be able to make more sense of it than me. But yeah, that's just how they worked. The old Mac 2, 2X, and 2FX. It's not the case with the 2CI. With the 2CI, you can start those up without a battery in them. But the 2X and 2FX, whatever they did, whatever design thing they ended up doing with the startup, you need to have a battery in there. Way of a ticking time bomb when you can have 2. Really interesting thing that we have to keep in mind with these, what we refer to obviously with these ticking time bombs. It's very true. I'm not going to deny that they're a ticking time bomb, but we also have to look at this with the perspective of the people who design these computers. They were putting lithium batteries in them, which were meant to have a lifespan of around about 10 years, but we now know that some of them have lasted 30 years plus, and some still with power in them. And let's face it, who on earth would have expected someone to still be using a computer 30 years later? You know, the idea of them putting these batteries in there, that would have been like, this thing's only ever going to need one battery. It's never going to need another one, because by the time this battery goes flat, they'll have upgraded. They'll have a faster computer. They're not going to be using this computer. It's a very, very interesting, it's a very different perspective on things when we're talking about collecting, because when it comes to these design of these things, it's they weren't really thinking about the level of longevity that we're talking about here. I had a semi-argument, I guess, with someone on one of the Facebook groups. I ended up deleting my comment because I honestly couldn't be bothered engaging with this person. But he described the Macintosh Plus analog board, because the fact that you have to trim a resistor in order to change the RAM. So if you're upgrading the RAM from 1 megabyte to 4 megabytes, you've got to clip a little resistor. And he basically just described that as lazy engineering by Apple. And I just thought to myself, I've never really thought of Apple engineering as lazy. I mean, if anything, I've always felt their engineering is probably a little bit overdone sometimes. You know, if we think about things like opening up the side of a G3 blue and white, or even opening up the case of a beige G3 tower, the way they flip open and stuff. There's some amazing engineering feats going on there. So it was sort of, I thought that's a really, really odd thing to say. I mean, in particular when the Mac Plus, the Mac Plus is really the only one that worked that way. The SE, I know the early SEs did also have a resistor, but they later on got replaced with a jumper. So yeah, it's just I don't know, I was curious. I'd just be interested to see what other people's thoughts on that are. Do they think that the fact that you have to cut a resistor to upgrade the RAM on a Mac Plus, do other people out there think that's lazy engineering? I'd like to hear your piece. Okay, so what we have here, I just want to mention this, is Jay in the audience at the moment. Hello, Jay. Jay, are you there? If you are there, this is directed at you, because I know when you were working on a computer, you did get into a little bit of a pickle with this once, I think. What we have here is a PLCC chip, plastic leaded chip carrier. I think it's leaded. Leads. They're leads. Leaded. Plastic leaded. I want to say leaded, but it's not leaded. When you have one of these, and that's these ones that have these little curly pins that go around to the other side, pin 1 is... Where's my tweezers? Come on, tweezers. Pin 1 is this little indentation. Can you see the little indentation just there? Right there. That's pin 1 there. Actually, no, it wasn't a PLCC with yours, but anyhow, I'll mention it anyway. That's pin 1, and then that little dot there indicates where pin 1 is. So that just saves you, if you're ever putting one of these down, saves you from putting them around the wrong way. I think the one that with Jay where he got himself into a pickle was one where the chip had a dot on all 4 corners of the chip, and so when he thought he had found pin 1 and he lined that up with the dot, but it turned out the chip actually just had 4 dots on it, and he had selected the wrong dot. And in all honesty, you know, you could not blame that from happening. It's frustrating because he had to take it off again, but you couldn't blame Jay for making that mistake, because you really wouldn't have been expecting to have a dot on all 4 sides. Giving a chip flattened corner and a dot. Okay. The lampshade Mac is great. Example of Apple's workmanship, in my opinion, anyway. Put a socket on. I don't have a socket for that size. Okay, so yes, one of the good things about these PLCC chips is they can either be soldered direct to the board or they can go into a socket. And I think that is quite clever. Okay, so I've just soldered one pin on in one corner, and then the idea will be I will then solder another pin on another corner, and that's enough to then just hold it in position while I solder the rest. That was totally out of camera view, but this is 2FX, and I will blame the size of this board for any inconveniences that may occur. What am I using here? I'm using V2. Seriously, it is just a flux lucky dip here at the moment. I reach for a tube of flux, and whichever one it is what ends up getting used. When it comes to the smells of fluxes, one of I think the interesting things about it is that you can look at a smell of something and go, oh, that's good or that's bad or whatever. But the truth is, when you start using something like this on a regular basis, you will just get used to whatever the smell happens to be. Unless you're using one of those early chip quick ones. They stink. They just stink. But even something like the original V2 that has that, what they refer to as a terpene smell, you get used to that if you use it long enough. Looking, just making sure I haven't made any bridges or anything here. Bridges, no bridges, bridges. Right, and then we'll put this chip on, and then we'll give it a test, and we'll see what happens. If it still doesn't work, I'm just going to throw it out the window. I am going to defenestrate this board. Yes. So, incidentally, Justin, who contacted me via email, and I have replied with an email back to him. He has had a little bit of trouble finding the chip that is required for the 2CI repair that Jay was working on. So I will be whipping that chip off this 2SI board. I can't remember which one it is. It's the is it labelled? RBV chip. Have I already pulled it off? I think I already have pulled it off. Excuse me. Yeah, I have. Look, it's not 2SI. That's where the RBV chip should be. And there's nothing there, so I'll have to whip it off my 2CI instead. So I'm going to send that chip, that replacement chip, to you, Jay, and then you can continue your video repair video, and keep your viewers happy, because I tell you what, they've been starved of House of Moth content lately. I don't know what's going on there. We've been asking. Live stream, we say. And no live stream comes. Okay. Plonk this down. Oh, it's around the wrong way. So with this one here, we've got this little indentation on the screen print, and that's meant to line up with what's pin 1, which is there, but also there's a little white line. You can't really see it there. There's a little white line on the chip that indicates this side. So this is the way around it goes. So anyone who might have been just staring at the screen there saying, "Yes, take it on backwards," don't worry, I found my mistake before it became problematic. Hello, Rob Brown. Right, so quick little recap for anyone who might have joined us recently. We've got a Macintosh 2 FX here. This is one that belongs to Kai, Mr. Kai Robinson of SE Reloaded and Classic Reloaded fame. He sent this to me with a few problems. It was acting a little bit strangely. And so I went and fixed a lot of stuff, and it's now not acting strangely, but the printer port doesn't work. So we've just replaced a couple of chips with absolutely no indication that there's anything wrong with them. But it was easier to replace them than do proper diagnostics. That's what we here in the business call a lazy repair. Now, if it fixes it, we rejoice. If it doesn't fix it, we go darn. because I was running a little bit of wick there. I just wanted to make sure I didn't pull any solder away from some of those pins. Magic repairs. Well, see, they're generally what I refer to as a wizard repair, and it's a repair where you don't do anything, but then the thing starts working afterwards. You pull it apart, you look at things, you poke things with your finger, you prod it, and then you put it all back together and it suddenly starts working. Now that is a wizard repair. We've seen them happen many times. Yeah, I think Joe, you had a wizard repair just recently, didn't you? Was it you? Someone who pulled something apart and then put it back together again and it worked. Oh no, it was Javier, that's right. He had a joystick that wasn't working, and so he pulled it apart and put it back together and again, and it just worked. There was nothing wrong with it. So that's a good old wizard repair there. Right. Okay, well, it's time to test this, see if the printer port works. So I'm going to have to go and get a few things. They're not difficult for me to get, but I will have to jump away from the screen just for a moment. Just remember, the music comes on pretty loud, so you might want to have your hands on your volume controls. I've had a few people complain about it. They're going, your intro music's too loud. So anyhow, I will be back in a couple of minutes. Hello, I hope I didn't keep people waiting too long. I do apologise for that. A couple of things I want to just mention. Someone bought some SCSI 2SDs from me the other day because I sell them online. And what they asked for, and it occurred to me, and I am actually going to do the same, but I'll probably do it with blue SCSIs because SCSI 2SDs are a bit pricey. What they did was they bought the external SCSI 2SD, which is not in my hand, that's a blue SCSI. I think I have one down here somewhere, but it may be somewhere else. They bought 3 of them, and they're putting system 7 on one, 7.1 on the other, and 7.5 on the other. And I thought to myself, what a bloody good idea from a convenience aspect. If you are someone like me who's doing repairs and stuff, yes, you can go in and you can have all your different disk images, but you've then got to go in and fiddle around which ones you make active and what you don't make active for starting up from them. So I thought, I'm going to make up some blue scuzzies, and I'm going to have one dedicated to System 6, one dedicated to System 7, one dedicated to 7.1, one dedicated to 7.5. And yeah, I think that's going to be really, really handy. You can just plug it in, Shift Option Command Delete, and boot into whichever system you have on that particular device. Actually, you don't even need to have separate devices, do I? I can just have swap SD cards out, but it might just be easier to have separate devices for my lame little brain. Right, I would like to ask people's opinion on something. To all of my vintage computery people out there. Top view. I have here a new bus display card. Not an old bus, but a new bus. There we go. This is a mega screen, 2001. Mega graphics, 1988. Now, here's the question I have. It has 2 ports on it. One of them is a 2-row 9-pin thingy, and one of them is a little BNC connector. What's the lead time these days? At the moment, it's so sporadic that it's hard for me to say that specifically. Some recaps I can actually get done and out really, really quickly. The main problem I have these days is people don't send me simple recaps much anymore. I got one yesterday, and that's fantastic. A Macintosh SE30 that I recapped, but that same person has also sent me a computer with a problem. And it's the problems that get me bogged down. If someone just says to me, look, I've got a computer here and it works, but it needs a recap, and they send it to me, I will get that in and out like that. But that's not what's happening these days. I'm getting people sending me boards going, this doesn't work, I'm hoping a recap will fix it. And a lot of the time it's not just the caps, it's something else as well. So that's the biggest problem I have at the moment. The biggest problem I have at the moment is the sort of work that people are sending me. So yeah, if you're in a situation where you've just got something that's just straightforward, easy recap, yeah, I can usually turn those around quite quickly. So, you're doing ready for the spicy o'clock. Yes. So, believe it or not, I have never done a 475 analog board ever. No one has ever sent one to me. So, I don't even know if I have all the caps for it because I've never done one. So, just very quickly, I just wanted to ask people's opinions on this. So, this display card, we have these 2 connectors here. It's all good. It's all fine and dandy. But here's the thing that I find really interesting. So, I'm just curious with this BNC connector, what sort of output will we get from it? Will I get like a composite video signal or something like that? Now, this is the thing that I find really confusing. It has down here a little jumper for NTSC or PAL. Now, why would you have that like for a VGA output? You wouldn't. You'd have that if it was more of a different sort of signal output. So I'm just really curious if anyone knows what I'm like to say. I mean, does this mean that, does this output video like on a TV channel or something like that? Is this like a TV antenna type thing? Just really curious if anyone has any thoughts about this board. As I say, this is a Mega Screen 2001 Mega Graphics 1988. Back in the days when having 2001 meant futuristic. I'm just really curious. I need to do some fiddling around, but I would just love to see what people's opinions are on the fact that this has an NTSC or PAL selector. Is just standard composite yellow RCA cable. There's no TV RF stuff on there. No, you're right. I mean, they generally have that kind of, they usually have that metal box on there for TV RF stuff. You know, they normally have that insulated box on there. So I totally accept that. So I'm just curious to see what people think the purpose of an NTSC PAL selector is. So it's composite. So are you saying, Joe, you're saying it's composite. So are you saying that if I were to just connect the BNC here to your it's BNC, isn't it? Yeah, to a standard like composite connector on a television set, for example, that this would output a video signal to that. So I could theoretically use this board or this display card to output to a television set. Is that what you're saying? Because if that's what you're saying, that's awesome. That's exactly what I want, because it saves me from having to go through a scaler. I can just capture this as an RF signal into a computer because of the wonderful thing she does. What I want to do, I want to capture the screen of my 2CI, but my 2CI is a sync on green, and sync on green does all sorts of horrible things to my scaler. So I'm thinking if I use this, and then I can just get a composite signal out, and I can capture that, and then I can capture the screen of the 2CI without having to buy a more expensive scaler. Just a thought. It's not going to break anything. Just throw a cut. Yeah, I think I'll have to do that. Composite out is monochrome though. That'd be interesting to try. By the way, I haven't said hello to you, Greg. Say hello. Something color burst frequency. Something dark side. Something complete. It's a little Family Guy Star Wars reference for folks. Right, so with this, well, the first thing we have to do is zoom out a bit. We're sort of zoomed right in here, right in. Well, other way. There we go. Yeah, there we go. You can see more of the mess now. So I'm going to plug this in. I've got no idea what OS is on it, but we'll see. I can always tinker with it if needed. Going to connect this up. Where is it? There's my screen. Hopefully I've got snooper on this thing. Oh, I'm going to need my little snooper testoroony things, aren't I? My testamadoodles, as Joe would say. Okay, let's get a power supply. Is it you? Is that you, power supply? Nope, that's the 2CI power supply. Oh, that's it. Ooh. How'd you come? Did it? Yep, that's it. So this is a power supply that bypasses the startup circuit. So as soon as I apply power to this, it will switch on. I'm not going to bother with the chime because I know the sound works, so I'm not going to bother sticking a speaker to it. There is no advantage to that, other than us going, whee, it went chime. And then here's my little thing next to the thing, just by the thing. And then it'll have to go over here somewhere. I'm going to just maybe hang that down there. And then I need a keyboard. I don't think I have a mouse though. I might need a mouse. Right, there's that. Let's sit there. There's that. Let's connect to some power. I really do have a bit of a desk space shortage here at the moment. And I do need to try and find a mousey. There is one in this house, in this shed, but I don't know where. What have I done? Oh, Jesus, what an idiot. Okay, there we go. Got a nice little power light on the blue scuzzy there. Oh, have I got this on the right input? Oh no, it's just, yep, okay, it's just done something. Yep, there we go. Menu, select, auto config, up. Okay. There we go. It's booted into system 7.1. It should have snooper on it because I do that. So all I need now is a mousey. Mousey. I had one. I mean, I did have one. I really did have. I'm not just saying I had one, but I did have one. How did someone lose a mouse? Come on. It's especially a great big vintage one. Come on. Oh, thank you. Gosh. You could make a simple LM1881 circuit to convert sync on green to a horizontal vertical. Well, or you could. I think you're totally overestimating my abilities there. I'm just going to go on a quick mouse hunt. Mousy, mousy, where are you, mouse? How can I have so many computers, so many vintage computers, and not be able to find a mouse? It just makes no sense to me. That does not make sense. I have made some changes here with the layout, and one of those changes has resulted in me not being able to get as close to this side of the room anymore, and that has made things a little bit tricky. But anyhow, I'm going to go hunt for a mouse. I might have one in the shed here, so just sit tight. I'll try not to slip on my ass because it's been wet and muddy. Whoa, whoa. Okay. Got lots of keyboards. Any mousies? Oh. Keyboard. Oh, here's a mouse. It's my favourite mouse too. Love these ones. Whoopsie. Oh God, this is so muddy. Whoa. I don't want to fall on my ass. It'd be so embarrassing to do that in the middle of a live stream, wouldn't it? Found a mouse. This is my least favourite keyboard. These ones. I hate these. My favourite mouse. There we go. Don't ever plug a mouse in while the power's on. Otherwise you'll get complaints. Okay, so Snooper. And I better go get... I didn't bring the little testy things down. That's speedometer, not Snooper. Let's change some colours here. This is a colour computer. No one will believe me if I don't show them. Monitors. Look at that. I can even do millions with this one because this is the fancy one. This is the one that's got all of the VRAM upgrades already. It's slow as molasses, but it's still colourful. And then we are going to go to Snooper. Oh, that's Snooper Duper. Okay. Launch this. Takes forever to launch. I shall just duck up and I shall grab my little tester thingies. Back in a sec. I didn't fall over again, yay. Okay, so these are little things that I made. I won't pull them apart, but anyhow, just there are a couple of wires inside that have been joined. We need to connect these now to the modem and printer ports. That's the modem. That's the printer. They're connected. You wouldn't have been able to see me do that because I'm a fat head. Now let's just go to logic tests. We'll switch them all off. We'll just do the printer port and the modem port, and then we'll run a test and see what happens. Start cycle. Pew, printer port. Testing printer port. Handshake test passed. 300 board test failed. 1200 board test failed. 9600 board test failed. Bad. Testing modem port. Handshake test passed. 300 board test passed. 1200 board. 24. 96 passed. Okay, so we have made absolutely no progress, but you know what we have done? Well, first of all, this is what we've done. We've got Ron. Thank you very much, Ron. Thank you very much for the super chat. I do appreciate it. And thank you very much for joining. So, what have we managed to do? Well, we've managed to absolutely and totally definitively say that it wasn't the problem with any of those chips I replaced. So, that is where we can actually say with some level of certainty that that we've actually diagnosed that that is the case. So, what do we do next? Well, apart from switch this thing off. End cycle. I love the way they have the little picture of the board here. It's cool, isn't it? It's cute. Cute little picture of the board. Just a reminder to people, I have mentioned this before, just to remember with Snooper, that if you go up to the help menu of Snooper 2, there is SADMAC codes. And with that, you can go in and put in the code that you get when you have a SADMAC, and it'll decode, tell you what it is. Really important thing to keep in mind, good thing to have. Jolly, jolly. Okay, so quit out of this. Quit. Special. Shut down. You think the Bournes? We checked the little Bournes. I mean, it's the one other component there that I didn't check. So why do we just replace it because I'm lazy? Let's just disconnect power from this. So what we're referring to, let me just pull these out. Let's disconnect that. We're just going to try and find places for these things in the meantime. We can plonk that on there. You know what I should have done today? I've got a MacBook Pro that I need to replace the connector on. I should have done that. Never mind. This has to be done. We cannot keep Kai waiting for long. We do not want an angry Kai. That would be no good for anyone. Okay, so we've got the Bournes resistors. One thing I am going to do just very quickly is have a look here inside the connector to make sure there's nothing untoward going on there. No, the connector itself looks good. And let's just check here on the schematic, which I have up here in the background. And he is going through RP2. So RP2 is the one we're looking at, and that is this guy. So that is RP2 there. So that's the Bournes resistor. Look, I mean, I could just replace it, couldn't I? No one would blame me. God, I can't see that. My eyes. Like this. No. 9016. 9028. 115S 00002. Yep, same one. Okay, so I'll just replace it with the one that I have on the SI. Again, no diagnostics, just going to replace things because, you know, I'm not going to use my brain. I have not, today is a non-brain day, okay? Okay. So, yes, I agree. Have some antibiotics. We keep Kyle waiting. Tell him we'll give him another Mac 2 board for every 30 minutes he waits. Oh dear. Yes, they're the same part numbers. So the part number, if I just go through here and go to scope view, you'll see. Am I looking at upside down now? Yeah, I am looking at upside down. Anyhow, it's 115S0002. That's the same code. Now, one thing I can tell you, I know this for sure, when I go to apply heat to these, they are going to go brown. So we're going to end up with brown resistors. So, but that's unavoidable. Really, you can't really get these things off without hot air. I mean, you could maybe do it with some low temp solder or something like that, and some trickery, but yeah, at the end of the day, they're just going to end up getting hot and they're going to end up melting. Getting brown, sorry. I'm not using a soldering iron, I'm using a hot air station. Idiot. 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 Off she comes. Nice little brown resistor. Haha, brown's resistor. Wow. Horse on fire today. Oops. Come on. It is so muddy in here at the moment because I have to traipse through mud in order to then come into here. So when it's muddy outside, I end up walking the mud in here. So I'm going to have to clean this floor someday soon. So the one we want is RP2. You can see RP2 there. It's upside down, but you can still see it. RP2, and it is pointing to this here. RP1 is this here. So even though this is over here, he is going to this one. There, there. Okay. Glad we got that sorted. These things don't fail much, do they? I sort of feel like this is a complete waste of time, but I still feel like I need to do something. Because, you know, if this doesn't do it, we then know it's one of two things. It's either the main controller is gone, and for some reason it's only gone for one of the serial ports, which I guess is not impossible. Or, not keeping you, you're brown and ugly. Or it's a broken trace somewhere, in which case I have to go through and do the beepity beep, beepity beep for all of them, all of the pins. All the pins. Not just some of the pins, but all the pins. Change the socket. Which socket? Oh, you mean this socket? There's just not much to the socket. That's the only thing. It's like it's not like a headphone socket where there's a little mechanism inside it that you know triggers for when there's something plugged in. I mean, these sockets are just basic as, and I can stick a plug in and do a little bit of checking and stuff like that. Let's get the 20. Since I use Latin, who on earth has to use Latin on the daily? Who, I ask you? My father learned Latin at school. It certainly helps, I think, anyone who has learned Latin, you will appreciate the humour in that scene in Life of Brian, where he wrote the graffiti, and then the guy was coming to correct him. That one looked really nasty. So I don't know. I mean, I've definitely fixed it up now because I have, you know, in the process of what I'm doing here, I've got a nice good coat of solder there. But I wonder if that wasn't making contact before. I wonder. Ever been in a situation where you say a sentence and you get to the end of it and you think to yourself, did any of that just make sense? I have that happening all the time. Just bear with me a moment. Sorry folks, I am going to have to wrap this up very soon, so we will put this chip on, we will test. Regardless of the outcome, I will have to leave because I do have a prior engagement at this time, which cannot be left too late. Right, okay. So, sorry, I was just catching up on the chat there. That's why I went completely silent there for a sec. I just realised I hadn't looked at it in a while, and there's all sorts of stuff, people talking about Aladdin and things. Scalpel. Dagnabbit, I lose the scalpel all the time. I do. Oh, there it is. I just need more of them. I probably should just buy like 6 or 7 of them and just have them strewn around. I do that with lots of other things. I just have lots and lots and lots of things. There we go. Okay, everything under there looks pretty darn good to me. So let's just drop him on. Oh, what's this? What's this? There's another one. There's another one from Ron. Ron needs to be heard today, doesn't he? Smiling face with sunglasses. That's it's one of the problems with this software that I use. It doesn't have the ability to actually take the sticker and show it on the screen. So it gives you this text description of what the sticker is. It's so funny. Smiling face with sunglasses. I'm just imagining that at the moment, what a smiling face with sunglasses look like. But thank you very much for that, Ron. Okay. So, I'm going to get this little guy here, put him around that way. And as I say, at the end of this, one way or another, we will end the stream. I better get that stuff off the pins first. Because I, as I mentioned before at the beginning of the stream, I am heading out to buy some clothes. So that I can be looking all fancy for the fancy event that I have next weekend. There will be no stream next weekend. Because I have a fancy event next weekend. Because I'm fancy. Can I say fancy enough? You know I'm fancy. You already know. Okay. Fancy t-shirt. Well, I can tell you what, I'm going to definitely be wearing jeans. I will have I think I will have a fancy shirt and a fancy jacket, but I'm definitely going to wear jeans. I've been to this fancy event before and I've worn a suit in the past, and I found there were still a lot of people there just wearing jeans, so I thought, stuff it, I'm going to wear jeans too. So much more comfortable. Sample 88. Let's try some sample 88. This one is the Sample 88 Bruce Rain Special Brancus 88, because this is the one that smells the way I asked it to smell. Anyone who wasn't watching the beginning of the stream, I contacted Amtech and I said that I felt that their Sample 88, also known as V3, I felt it was a little bit too pongy. The scent was a little bit overpowering. So they said, okay, we are going to make a version of it with 75% the amount of scent in it. And we're going to send it to you for you to try out. And so they sent it to me and I tried it out. And I got back to them and I said, guys, I like it. And they said, okay, we have made that a permanent change. So all of the Sample 88, also known as NC559V3, will have that slightly reduced scent now. You're welcome. Okay, so they've been really, really nice, the guys at Amtech. I've got to say, I've been so pleased with them. I'm going to do a review video soon of a whole bunch of different fluxes. They've sent me a couple more for me to use in that review, and I'm just going to line them all up. I'm going to put them through their paces, and then I'm just going to report on what I think of them. Certainly from my perspective, I realise that not everyone has the same opinions on fluxes that I do, but for what I do, I will definitely be saying which one I prefer. So that video, yeah, that video is definitely going to be made. Oh, what's the event? Is it big? No, it's actually a wine event. So it's an event where we will be trying out some very fancy wines at a fancy dinner. You know, it's funny putting me there because that's just not really me. But a very close friend of mine, he is a member of this particular club that allows him to get really good prices on these event tickets. And he has kindly asked sort of me and my wife if we want to go. We have done it before. We did it. We did the same thing last year and the year before. Actually, we missed one, I think, because of COVID. But this, I think, will be the third proper one. And they had a scaled down event because of COVID, so we went to that. So this is the third full scale one, I think. And yeah, it's so it's lots and lots of people there with lots of money. So just, you know, I'm a bit of a fish out of water. So you know, they're all there spending. I mean, seriously, there are people there that they go there on the night and they literally spend thousands of dollars on wine on that evening. To give you an idea, one year they had a competition, and you got a key to try and open a padlock, and if you opened the padlock, you got some prize. In order to get a key, you had to spend $1,000 worth of wine on the night. And there were some people there just rocking up with like 3 or 4 keys. And it's like, are you serious? It's freaking wine, man. But anyhow, far be it from me to tell people what to do. If they have enough money to spend on wine like that, then go for it. Go for it. I'll see if I can get them to sign up for my Patreon or something like that. I don't have a Patreon. I will have. I started doing it, and then I got stuck because they said, what are you going to be offering for the different tiers? And I'm like, I don't know. And I just got stuck on that point. It's like, what would the different tiers be? And then I just sort of came to the realization, at the end of the day, even if I'm not offering anything particularly fancy for my Patreon, if people want to pay it, they can pay it. It's like, you know, I'll mention your name at the end of my videos or something, or something like that. But yeah, I just felt bad. I felt like with the Patreon, I wasn't really going to offer any value. But you know, I just have to accept. Some people just like to help. Some people just like to give, contribute. So why should I get in the way of that? May as well. If they're enjoying the content and they want to help, I really shouldn't stop them. We are going to be setting up a Patreon for Tinker Different. Should anyone want to help out for Tinker Different, we are extremely, transparent with all the spending. All of that information is on Tinker Different, where the money goes, what it's used for. So, you know, if anyone does want to go down that path of donating some money, you we will have that up and running very soon. We met about that today. We actually had a Tinker Different committee meeting this morning. Yeah, seeing said video before the general public gets to it. The problem I have with that, I suppose I could probably pre-release edits, ones that aren't completely finished yet, or snippets of videos. I could probably do that. But oftentimes when I produce a video, I just go bang, 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 and it's out. You know, I get it out as quick as I can. Okay. Let's launch some snooper. So as I say, no matter what happens here, we will be, I don't expect it to work, by the way, just so set expectations. But at the end of this one, I will be ending the live stream because I do have stuff to do, but we'll just see if that's any different. So we have essentially, apart from a couple of resistors floating around, we've essentially replaced every significant component relating to the printer port, other than the actually main controller itself, which is here. So we've replaced that, and that. There are a couple of resistors on the other side. Could potentially go and test those as well. But as I said, this stream really hasn't been about testing. This has just been about doing stuff. Okay, start cycle. And we've got handshake test passed. Oh! It frickin' worked! It was the Bourne's resistor. Damn. He'd lost his identity. Bourne lost his identity. Probably was that trace. Yeah, it probably was that one that was really ugly and I cleaned up with the... The truth is, it's probably what it was. I could grab... No, I threw it away. I could grab that Bourne... I mean, Bourne's resistors are pretty easy to test because they're just resistors at the end of the day. You just check the resistance. But yeah, it worked. So... happy days for Kai. He's got a computer all working again. So isn't that joyous? I didn't expect that outcome, but it's nice. It's nice. Okay, so I'm going to stop this and then I will do my normal goodbyesies type thing and thankies and all those sorts of things. I just saw the little like thingy go off then, so just a reminder to please
smash that like button.
Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Okay, let me shut this down so I can disconnect it. Quit. Special. Shut down. You know what always happens whenever I do these live streams? I get something like this. I get the old, sort of 2FX or something along those lines, and I, fire it up for testing or something like that. And I just get this overwhelming urge to play with it. And I walk away from their streams a lot of the times just sort of saying, God, I just want to pull out one of my computers from my collection and play with it for a while. Because I just don't get to do that very much these days. And I won't get to today either. But it makes me want to. When I get there and I've got the operating system there and the old Chicago font on the menus and stuff, you're just sort of like, oh yeah, I want to get on there and play a bit of Civilization or Warcraft. I don't know if anyone's ever played, not Warcraft, Warlords. I don't know if anyone's played Warlords. That's a game that you can play on a really slow old computer. It performs quite well. So, if you're on an old LC or a Mac 2, Warlords actually works really well. So that's a good one. I'm sure it's on the garden. And it's one where it's a turn-based game and you can set the computer to be the other players and you're basically looking to try and take over land, that sort of thing. So this gets to go into, I'm going to have to clean up some of these exposed traces here, a little bit of UV mask, because I exposed a few here in the cleaning process today, so to get them all looking nice. And then it will go into the big ultrasonic cleaner behind me here, the big whiz-bangery thing. I had someone leave a comment on my ultrasonic cleaner video the other day that made me think that what I should have done rather than buy all the drivers and stuff for these, what I should have done is just bought transducers, stuck them on the bottom of the tank, bought myself a 30-litre ultrasonic cleaner off eBay, and then just used all of the mechanism, the timer, the drivers, the heater, everything from it. I should have just taken out the guts of an actual off-the-shelf heater to power my weird-shaped tank with my transducers. That's what I should have done. And at the time, I was probably thinking along the lines of budget. It's going to be cheaper for me to go in and just buy these transducers and everything. But if I now think of all of the extra parts that I've had to buy, it really does seem like it would have been a much cleverer thing to do. But that's that. I may even end up doing it one day. We'll see. Yes, did I not say the ultrasonic cleaner? I thought I said or I was just talking about the thing, wasn't I? I just called it the thing, ultrasonic cleaner. It rubs the lotion. Oh yes, it rubs the lotion on the skin, or else it gets the hose again. Love this shirt. So, okay. Well, look, that worked out way better than I thought it would. We got the printer port working. We're all happy. It was either that really ugly trace underneath the Bourne resistor, or it was the resistor itself. I can probably fish the resistor out of the bin and check it if I want to. We'll see if I get the energy. A big thank you to everyone for joining. I will just quickly check the chat here to see if there's anything important that I need to read. A total wizard repair. It wasn't. I really replaced something. Build the cleaner and they will come. It's true that video has had more views than any video I've ever made. So, yeah. All right, I think that's it. So I will say thank you to everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the super chats and super stickers and stuff like that. Thanks for keeping me company while I did that. As I say, today was just sort of a bit of a muck around stream. I won't be streaming next weekend, but I will try and do some streams around either before or after the weekend to try and make up for it. So, again, thank you to everyone. Have a great night. And I hope to see you at the next one. So, bye-bye.